Okay, I think almost everybody's on. I see the typical people. I see Tom and Frank are on there. Looks like a couple new people. One guy's interesting. His name is Bandsaw. So, at any rate, thank you so much for coming and participating in our continuing series on Woodmiller Explains Medicare. And we're going to talk about the top questions Medicare recipients ask. And for those of you who are new, you're probably wondering, why is there Medicare presentations on a woodworking forum? Well, the reason is not only am I a woodworker, I also happen to be a licensed Medicare agent. I don't actively sell plans, but as we were doing presentations and talking to people, we realized that there are a lot of woodworkers who are either turning 65 or 65 and older or disabled and on Medicare. So I tend to have an unbiased opinion on it and try to provide educational information in that regard. So there is a whole series. There should be links at the bottom. We're doing ones on Medicare 101, prescription drug costs, using Medicare.gov, and those types of things. But this one is very short and informative because it talks about the top questions that Medicare recipients tend to ask. And I get a lot of questions asked of me. But as always, before we begin, everything that I talk about in this video is publicly available information and it's used for illustrative purposes. Now, this may be going into plan year 2025. You may be watching a recording some other year. If it is, it would be modified and corrected. But in general, there are no recommendations being made. And although I'm a licensed agent, this video is to educate, not solicit business. So let's get into it. First question, when am I eligible for Medicare? Well, typically you're eligible for Medicare when you turn 65. So you can sign up during something called an initial enrollment period, and it starts 3 months before your birthday month, the month of your 65th birthday, and it ends 3 months after that. There's also situations where if you're under 65 but have certain qualifying disabilities, you can qualify after 24 months of receiving Social Security Disability Insurance. It's called SSDI, not SSI. Also, people with specific conditions like ALS or end-stage renal disease also can qualify earlier. So we get this question, I have original Medicare. That's all I need, right? Well, that's not a simple yes or no. That's a maybe. So you certainly can stay on original Medicare. And the purpose of this presentation is not to go into Medicare 101s. It's to answer the question. However, many people will go to something called a supplement or have a Part D or an Advantage plan. So hold your thought. I'm going to briefly talk about this so it makes sense. So is original Medicare all I need? Maybe, maybe not. So here's original Medicare. It's in essence an 80-20 pay plan where Medicare picks up 80%, the recipient pays 20. The line that says hospitalization is Part A. That's what you hear referred to as Part A. Part B is doctors or procedures. And there is a small deductible each year for hospitalization. And there is a monthly premium for Part B. It does not include prescriptions or vision or dental. Many Medicare recipients tend to supplement the gaps that Medicare doesn't cover. So they call them a Medigap. You'll hear them referred to as like Plan N or G, the alphabet. And in those cases, Medicare is still primary. Then a private insurance company will try to fill in the gaps on Part A and Part B that are not paid for by original Medicare. And oftentimes they will offer Part Ds. That's not part of a supplement. It's a separate standalone Part D, which is a prescription plan. Then you have Medicare Advantage plans. That's where a private insurance company is the primary, and they have to provide at least equal to the coverage levels of Medicare. But the way they operate is oftentimes you'll have like a $0 monthly premium or a small premium, and then co-pays by procedure. Now, of course, you still have to pay your Part B, and oftentimes these plans have prescriptions included, vision, dental, and other benefits. For more details, watch the Medicare 101 presentation. We get this question: does Medicare include your prescriptions? The answer is no, it does not. And that's a misnomer a lot of people have. So I was talking about that Part D, or the fact that Advantage plans often cover your prescriptions. We're going to be talking about prescriptions and Part Ds a little bit more in other questions. But it's also important to understand that even if you have a Part D or an Advantage plan with prescriptions, not all medications are on every plan. And then they use this thing called formularies to determine the cost, which may vary from plan to plan. However, whether you're on a Part D or an Advantage plan, they have to offer at least minimum drug coverage as defined and mandated by Centers for Medicare. So we get this a lot. Hey, I heard about this Part C on TV, and I have a supplement. Can I sign up? Well, I'm going to give you a modification of that also, but the answer is no. It's simple. You can't have a supplement and a Part C, which is an Advantage plan. Simple answer. However, we also get calls a lot saying, I saw on TV where we get all these extras and it's a Part C. And oftentimes the people that are calling actually are on Advantage plans, which is the Part C. So there's some confusion there. Also, it's important to understand that when you see them on TV and you call those numbers, that's not Center for Medicare. And I would be careful calling from TV. Often those are just general call centers. I highly recommend seeking out a local licensed independent insurance agent to help you through some of these questions. And they don't charge for these meetings at all. Get this one a lot. I don't take any medications. Why would I need a Part D or a prescription plan? Well, this is a big red flag, something you need to be aware of. If you don't enroll in Medicare Part D when you're first eligible and you don't have something called credible prescription drug coverage, that's defined by Centers for Medicare, you'll be assessed a late penalty. So the penalty will be added to your monthly Part D premium and it will last as long as you have coverage. And the penalty is calculated based on the number of months you were eligible but didn't sign up. And it's usually 1% of the national base premium for each month that you were without coverage. So to avoid the penalty, we typically advise that even if you're not taking prescriptions, to be on either an Advantage plan or get a Part D. And you need to be aware of this. Here's a functional logical question. How do I pay my Part B premium? I just mentioned there was a premium. Well, there's several ways you can do that. One, you can do an automatic bank withdrawal and set up automatic payments with your bank. It's often the easiest method or most convenient method. Most common is people have it taken directly out of their Social Security check. So you elect to say, give me my Social Security check less the amount for my Part B. And that's sort of a set it and forget it kind of option. You also do have the ability via Medicare.gov to set up auto bill payment, banking reincurrement payments. You can actually do it via the mail or go directly to your Social Security office. But typically people will do it either online bill payment or directly through deductions from their Social Security check. Okay, here's a good one. How do I get extra help? Now, first of all, not everybody's eligible for extra help, but you hear about that a lot. So Extra Help is a program that helps people with limited income pay for their Medicare prescription drug costs. It may help with premiums, deductibles, and co-payments. And you first need to know if you're eligible. So typically there are limited limits of income and resources that you can have, and those vary from year to year. And the guidelines are on the Social Security Administration website and Medicare. You actually can apply for extra help online via the Social Security Administration website. You can apply by mail with a paper application, or you can call Social Security Administration. I have their number listed here later, but it's 1-800-772-1213, or go to the local Social Security office. Also, check into your state. Most states have something called SHIP. It's State Health Insurance Assistance Programs, where you can call people and they can help you with the online application. And once your application is processed, you'll get notification whether or not you qualify for extra help. Now, another thing that we get asked questions about a lot is how do I get extra help with medication? Well, there is the programs that I'm talking about, but in addition to that, you also can contact the pharmaceutical companies directly, and oftentimes they will have their own programs to offer special help, either discounting the medication or shipping it directly to you at low or no cost. Also, people that are eligible for Medicare and Medicaid, both. You see that on TV a lot too. They call it a DSNP, dual eligible special needs program. There are programs that can help there. But again, talk to a licensed agent about your options there. How do I get Part A and Part B? Well, you get Part A and Part B when you become eligible at 65 or due to the disabilities or other conditions. So during your initial enrollment period, you can do it one of several ways. You can do it online through Social Security Administration's website, the SSA's website. You can call them at 1-800-772-1213, or you can go to your local Social Security Administration office, look it up. I typically would recommend that you call and get an appointment in advance because oftentimes they can get very, very busy. Also, if you've already been receiving Social Security benefits when you turn 65, you'll automatically be enrolled in Part A and Part B and receive a Medicare card in the mail. So this is a hot topic. So can I travel with a supplement or an advantage plan? And really it's more, can I travel if I have an advantage plan? Because with a supplement, if you remember, fills in the gaps that original Medicare doesn't pay. So any doctor that accepts Medicare is a Medicare eligible doctor throughout the country. You can go to them, doesn't matter where you're at. However, advantage plans oftentimes get a bad rap saying, oh, you can't travel. And that's the downside to an advantage plan. And you have to stay in your local area. Well, that's not necessarily true. While they do have network providers, advantage plans, there's a couple things. First of all, if you're traveling and you have an emergency or urgent care and you're out of your coverage area, that is covered as an in-network benefit. Secondly, they have telehealth. Most places have telehealth. Also, there are PPOs. So in a PPO, you actually can go to an out-of-network provider at a slightly higher copay. And some plans actually have travel benefits. So you may have a plan that has a certain region that they offer in-network benefits. There happens to be a plan in my local area that's designed for snowbirds. So if you don't exceed 6 months in a year, so otherwise you'd be a full-time resident in Florida, they added North Carolina, I think Texas and Arizona, I'm not exactly sure. Any of those states, while you're there, you could see any doctor who accepts Medicare as an in-network provider. So don't necessarily think you can't travel if you have an advantage plan. Now, here's a big one that we get a lot. IRMAA, what is it? Well, first of all, I'll cover the last part first. If you have an IRMAA, you're probably going to know that because you're going to get a letter from the Social Security Administration. But that stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. So that would be an additional premium for some Medicare beneficiaries for Part B and Part D based on their income. And here's how it works. There is an income threshold. So if your modified adjusted gross income exceeds a certain threshold, and that's usually high income folks, you may have to pay a higher premium for your Part B and or Part D. And these thresholds change annually. So the Social Security Administration determines this typically by using your tax returns from 2 years prior to determine if you have to pay an IRMAA. And that they would let you know in advance and you would get a notification. So those are the top questions. I may have missed a few, but I think I hit the big ones. And I want to thank you very much for your attention and time listening to the Woodmiller on Medicare. Look at the link below or check out our channel for additional topics on Medicare. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.